Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in today, talking about creating a booming business. We have a lot of content. I'm hopefully we're going to get through within 30 minutes. Please bear with me. I might go beyond 30 minutes because we added more value to you yesterday as we redid this plan. So just to let you know, I am the leader of KW Real Estate Planner. It's a new community. We've been around for 3 years, have over 435 members with us today. I run a team. I'm just like you. I'm a realtor. I have a number one team here in Hawaii. As you know, I'm a MAPS coach. I do this fast track class, and I've been really blessed. I got into Gary Keller's top 100 group when I first came to the company, and that kind of changed my life, changed my world, changed the way I think today. So I've been very honored and blessed to be being mentored by Gary. Been a leader in this industry for at least 17 years. NAR gave me the one of the awards that they give to one person a year. It's called the Senior Real Estate Specialist Outstanding Service Award for our commitment and dedication to this community that we serve. I am an investor here in Honolulu, in KW Honolulu, and on Maui, and I've done over 1,400 presentations in just in my marketplace alone. We've closed over 1,500 transactions, over $1 billion of real estate, in pretty much one lever, one demographic is who we've been serving. And really, the way I look at it is we identified some problems and then we went to go solve them, right? And when you solve problems, then people are going to be attracted to you and want you to help them, right? Lastly, we've successfully closed over, actually, it's going on 400 almost, 1031 exchanges, and we've never failed one. Okay, so we have some experience in this area, and we're going to dabble a little bit about that information today. Um, so for gosh, this is new. Oh yeah, if you have any questions, this is how you reach KW because this is a program that we're putting on for that. So what's our goal today? We want to show you how we're finding listings. Where are they coming from? We're going to talk about this great wealth transfer that you've probably heard about, but we're going to take a deeper dive and hopefully you understand how significant it is for the next generation. We're going to identify some common problems that when you solve them, you're going to get some business, right? And finally, the goal is to inspire you to take action. Take this information and go do something with it, sign up, and then you'll learn more and you're going to just keep training yourself on some information. Well, look at this opportunity. This next 20 years, there's going to be $85 trillion being transferred from one generation to the next. But get that, 30 to $40 trillion will just be in real estate alone. Imagine that. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a population of us that are going to be on the inside transacting this transfer well, and then there's going to be a lot of people on the outside looking at like, wow, what just happened, right? And so you get to decide what part of the world you want to live in. NAR tells us that more than 51% of all listings are baby boomers and their parents. So if you're looking for listings, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know a better place to find them. Some other data that's interesting, there's going to be 2.1 million older adults that will leave us this year, will die, and 80% of them own real estate. That's 1.68 million listings potentially hitting the market in the form of a trust sale or a probate sale, right? And when you have solutions to these situations, these challenging times that people will go through in life, you will be able to shepherd other people through life with their real estate, right? Because these property owners these are the guys going to be your next seller for many, many years. And when you focus on their problem and solving them, you're going to get some listings. You're going to get quite a bit of business. This is what we built our business on for 20 years, the last 20 years. Okay. So what are the opportunity for realtors? It's really life changing. You're helping people create opportunities by asking them new, different questions, right? And it's really how we show up. Instead of telling people what to do, what if we ask them, right? What if we ask them what mattered to them? And I'm going to walk you through some magic questions that you'll be able to use today to help people self-discover that you can help them. We're going to find some problems and we're going to solve them, right? Because this demographic, this niche that we're working on, everywhere I go around the country, Very few people actually focus on it. Very few. And so it is a very unique niche with really no competition. You know, Peter Thiel says, see a world that no one is seeing and play a game that no one is playing. This is what we do. This is what we've been doing for 20 years, and now there's more of us that are now trained to be able to help others. So, what are the 7 common problems that we've seen, and what are those solutions? Well, I'm going to talk to you about the problems, then we're going to talk about solutions. You know, their homes no longer appropriate for them. You know, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90 years old, and you know they can't stay home any longer. It's too big, or there's just too many steps, too narrow if you have a wheelchair, things like that, right? They have some properties that they don't live in, and those are their rentals. And these rentals, well, there's not a lot of cash flow, right? Because they've had little Johnny there at the house for 30 years and hasn't changed his rent. And you know what happens then, right? Yeah, you have a low performing asset. And then they have these rentals, but they just don't want them anymore. And I call them the terrible T's, the tenants, the toilets, the trash, the taxes. Uh, in some cases, the torchings or the TROs. Right? I mean, it can get pretty bad, right? And once they have a situation like that, they're not going to want to rent anymore, right? And they're going to want to do something else. And I'm going to show you a solution to that problem that you're going to face. Right? And then they're worried about families fighting. Right? 70% of families are fighting over real estate after mom and dad die. So think about that. Ask yourself and ask the people around you, have you ever heard of somebody fight over real estate after parents pass away? It's very common, right? And I was just talking to my friend in the water today. It went generational. He doesn't talk to his cousins anymore because his parents had a dispute over real estate. It was just this morning in the water. Um, and they're really concerned about their kids fighting, right? And or the parents have passed away and the kids don't really know what to do. I mean, that's why you have so many vacant homes in every community in America. It's because somebody passed away and the kids haven't gotten together and figure out what they're going to do with the house. There's too much of mom's things still in the house, right? And so they get stuck many times, right? Um, and that's the beginning of family disputes because some want to rush and some don't. The parents passed away and then they don't have a trust. What happens in that case? Then it's going to go to probate. We even teach a class called I'm a Trustee, Now What? I'm not an attorney, but I've vetted my program through attorneys. And we attract people with wealth and they come and we solve their problems, give them some suggestions, and they end up meeting with us, right? Um, and then it's a couple just going through a divorce. All of these are the problems that you're going to see, right? As you start talking to people in your database as well as those around you. Right? And really, your job is to identify a problem. So in your conversations, I'm going to teach you some quick questions, how to flush out problems, and you'll be able to help them with these problems. Number one, home is no longer appropriate for them. The solution is help them find another home, and guess what? You're going to get a listing. So what are their questions regarding their homes? Like, where do I go is the biggest question, right? What does life look like? Who can help me? How do I get there, right? Those are the questions that they have. And when you get to a point where you can solve those questions, you're going to get a listing. In our training, in our fast track program, we talk about senior relocation services, about how do you approach it, understanding the market first. And then second is how do you approach that market so that they want to send you referrals, right? So they want to send you business because you became their partner. There's this entire industry of retirement communities in the country. And here's one takeaway or homework for you today is just go to Google and say retirement communities near me. And you're going to be blown away by how many you'll see that you never saw before, right? Do a simple exercise and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because this is one of the fastest growing industries in America now in real estate is this baby boomer generation has got to go somewhere, right? I mean, we all got to live somewhere, and a lot of times it won't be in our house, right? In many cases. So once you want to find their home, once they understand where they're going to go, that's when you're going to get that listing. Um, Let me give you another tip. Write this down. NASM, NASMM. Kapil, can you put that in the chat? NASM, the National Association of Senior Move Managers. It's an entire industry of people that help people downsize, declutter, and move. That should be your best friend if you want to help somebody move from their home and relocate to somewhere else. Because either that or you're going to do it yourself. We did it ourselves for 14 years. Yeah, we did that a long time, and we helped hundreds, 1,400 families actually move. But I don't recommend that. So here's the two common major problems: is one, their home doesn't work for them, or two, their investment properties have become a burden. That's what you're looking for when you talk to people about them or their parents, right? How's their home working for them? So why are they downsizing and moving? Well, you're going to hear things like physical challenges, knees, hips, and back. Anytime when you have situations like that, yeah, they're not going to be able to do the stairs. Mental health challenges, memory, basically, dementia, Alzheimer's, right? That will be serious and it could be dangerous. They're oftentimes selling to pay for long-term care needs. They go to a care home. My friend, his mother is in a memory care community facility now, and it's $14,000 a month. Yeah, he had to sell his property, right? Because they had to pay for the care. She ran out of money. So you're going to hear things like that. Sometimes it's just about family dynamics. The kids go away, they move away, and then mom and dad want to spend more time with the grandkids, basically. They're starting to move in with family sometimes. If they can't take care of themselves, one of the siblings oftentimes says, "Hey, come, we have a space for you at our place." Most commonly, we're seeing um, people telling us that just their home's too big and it's just too much work to maintain. That's typically the majority of proactive people that we get that come to our seminars. We've been doing these seminars called Senior Living Options for many, many years. Um, and then some people are more young, they're younger and they're proactive and they're selling their home to buy a condo or some single family home that's smaller. Right? They're downsizing because they want to travel more. When you're getting into your 70s, 80s, and or up, you're looking at retirement communities, or if you if you're ambulatory, you're looking for that. If you need assistance, then you're going to go to assisted or skilled nursing communities. Right? And then some are just going to move because they're lower cost of living. So in our market, as well as in California, the cost of living is so high that they're moving to other climates, which, interestingly enough, are typically warmer, right? You're looking Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, a lot of the states that the cost of living is a little cheaper for an older adult. Vegas, we have a lot of people moving out of Hawaii for that, right? Or they're just moving closer to family. So these are the reasons why they're moving. And what I want you to do is, as you're talking to folks, listen for signals that these things might be interesting to them. So here's some questions and conversations for their primary residence. Right? When you're calling your clients on a daily basis, obviously you're using Ford, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, asking those types of questions in those areas. But opening up, for example, if you just ask these simple questions: how you doing? Just open, broad question: how you doing? You're going to get a sentiment of if this person is being challenged for something or they're having a time of their life. Right? How's your house working out for you? That's going to give you a signal if there's a problem or not. Right? If everything's great, this is the best house I'll ever have, I'm going to die here, then they're not selling their home. But if they said, it's a little big, or, something broke, or any problem, is your first sign that maybe it's time for them to move on, right? And remember, the demographic I'm referring to is typically older, baby boomers and up. But this question also works for younger folks. Give you an example. I was in the water. Yeah, I surf every day. Anyways, in the water, I was talking to this guy. I knew him as James. He was a surfer and not that great, but he's a nice guy. Anyways, I was asking him. At first, I asked him, "Hey, James, where do you live?" He says, "Oh, I live over here in Hawaii Kai." I go, "How's that working for you?" And he goes, it sucks. I said, tell me more. He said, yeah, he starts complaining about it. Anytime somebody starts complaining, let them talk. Why? Because they're going to tell you all the reasons why they want to move, right? Fuel the fire, allow them to communicate their pain in as great of detail as you allow them to. And when you do that, then they will be more motivated. This is how you help people get self-motivated, right? Just have them move. And if you were to move, where would you go? I asked him, and he says, oh, I want to move closer to town. And 2 days later, he calls me up and he says, Dan, I found the house. I said, okay, let's go take a look. We took a look at it, and he bought it in cash. $2.3 million. He bought it in cash. I go, wow, he's not only a surfer. This guy's got some money. I found out he's an oral surgeon. He's not an average surfer. A guy had money. So, but asking questions like this will help you get people to understand and start telling you more, right? If you were to move, where would you go? Are your parents still around, right? If you're talking to a younger person, how are they doing, right? Have some care and concern, but you're looking for signals of some kind of challenge or problem that they're having. And then you just ask deeper questions, right? Your job is to uncover these problems. But a lot of times they really haven't admitted that they are a problem yet. And that's how you provide that solution to them. When you do, you're going to get a listing, right? Problem number two is they own rentals, and don't really have much cash flow. Oh, by the way, here's your magic question on the rental side is your first question when you talk to somebody is, do you own more than one property? That's your qualifying question. Why? It's the magic question. It's the simplest one you're going to get, but that's how you're going to find your investor. Do you own more than one? Yeah, that's a simple way to do it, right? And you're going to find them. And then if they own rentals, and don't want cash flow, then what we do is we help them make more money by selling and doing a 1031 exchange and buying a higher producing asset, right, with greater cash flow. The way you do that is you got to measure it first, though. Right? So you have to understand how to measure it. Problem number three is they own rentals and they don't want them anymore. Those terrible T's again. What we're going to simply do is we're going to sell it, 1031 exchange, and buy another property, either that's something for their family, right? If you think about it, if I ask the question, do you need the income to sustain the life you desire? It's another magic question. If you ask that question, they say, no, I don't need the money. Then the next question is, who would you like to bless? And they say, well, my daughter doesn't own anything yet, and she's been renting. I said, okay, so you could 1031 exchange your property, buy another property, allow her to predetermine what the replacement is, right? And allow her to live there, right? And what happens is you change the trust such that when you pass away, the trust says it goes to her 100%. This is how you eliminate capital gain tax, right? By doing things such as creating these plans that will help people keep their money in their pocket, in their family, but also to bless their kids while you're alive. Right? So the opportunities are huge with investment properties. Did you know that 34% of all households are rentals? And the average landlord has 3 properties. So if you're in the world of real estate, in the business of selling real estate, your goal is to find as many listings as you can, because that's what we call inventory, right? That's a product on the shelf. If you got more products, you can sell more of it, right? So where should you look? Well, I'm going to look at the place where the guys have the most. I'm going to go to the pond with the most amount of fish. This is the pond, the investor, not the guy that just bought his home, not military. No, it's the guy that has more than one. And there's ways to find them. That's actually not on here, though. So real question for you is like, who do you think this is? Well, it's not the 20 and 30-year-old. It's not the 30 and 40-year-old. It's the baby boomer and their parent that owns a vast amount of wealth in real estate. Right? 50 to 60% of them are owned by that demographic. Right? And most of them, they've had it so long that they really have no debt. When I ask them, do you have a mortgage on it? He goes, oh, no, Dan, they laugh at me because they paid it off so long ago. And then many of them right now, they're concerned about their kids and their kids fighting and them sharing that real estate. So what's the opportunity? It's for investment properties have become a burden for them. this generation. They don't need the money. I can't tell you, how many people have said, when I ask the question, do you need the income to sustain the life you desire? Most people say no. 80% of people that I talk to say no. That's the target market you're looking for, right? The wealthy older adult that has vast amount of wealth. They just don't know what to do with it. And what we're doing today is we're helping them unlock wealth and repositioning it to what matters most to them, whether it be increasing cash flow if they need the money, or blessing their children while they're alive, right? Creating this pre-inheritance plan, such that the kids never fight, right? These folks, they have them. They go to their CPA and they say, "Hey, CPA, I want to sell my investment property." The CPA says, "No, don't sell it. There's this thing called capital gain tax. You don't sell it." So they go home. They go, I guess we're stuck." Right? The person they trust the most tell them not to do it. And that's very, very common. The CPA will oftentimes not offer the opportunity to say, "Hey, if you sold and did a 1031 exchange, yeah, you could defer your capital." Yeah, they don't suggest that because it's just more work for them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's much better for you, obviously, because you're going to unlock underperforming assets and reposition them to higher performance in many cases. Right? And then when you get that, you can help them create an inheritance plan such that their kids can enjoy the blessings of wealth before mom and dad pass away. Enjoy the gratitude that you get while you're alive from your kids and grandkids. Right? Well, good thing about these folks is, they don't have a mortgage, so they're selling something and they're buying something, right? There's a time frame on that, and so they're motivated by time. They must do these things within parameters of the law, right? 1031 exchange law, right? And they're buying it with cash, right? So the mortgages, their interest rates won't impact them. Many of them, they don't have a balance, right? And what happens is they're just highly motivated. When you understand that market and you're able to attract them and able to provide a solution to them, they're going to come to you as they do to us. We started doing 1031 exchange seminars 18, 19 years ago. And we now do them every month. Yeah. I started doing seminars when I first got into real estate. I was sitting on the beach with my brother, and he told me that, because he was in reverse mortgages, and he told me that, hey, there's this huge demographic, this wave of people that are coming that are going to have challenges. And he's my older brother, so at first you never want to listen to your older brother, right? But then I realized, like, wow, this dude is right? It makes sense. So I listened to him, and I did seminars since then, and I did my first seminar like within a year of me having a license, a real estate license, and I started attracting people that way. Yeah, yeah. So Percy, thank you very much for inspiring me to do that. My brother's on this call, and I didn't expect him to on this call, but I say this story all the time, but he doesn't get to hear it, so gotta let him hear. So number 4 is their family disputes. They're concerned about their kids fighting. And the solution is you create a plan, create a real estate plan, right? So you can prevent them. So your magic question is, what's your plan such that your kids don't fight when you're gone? And you know what? Nobody really has one. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, "Oh, my properties are in the trust, and the trust will keep it safe." And I can tell you, for one thing, it'll keep you safe from probate. It just may not keep you safe from your family. Because I ask all the older adults, I said, let me ask you, and how many of you have children? Raise your hand. Any of you have children? Okay, how many of you have more than one? More than one? Okay, that's your fault. You and somebody else made them, right? And I jokingly say that because if you have one child, you never have a problem. Once you have more than one, you got a decision to make in many of these cases. When the trust says, upon my demise, you kids share the property. Well, how do you share real estate? You can't, right? The way you share it is you sell it and you share the wealth within it, or one person buys the other one out. But yeah, you don't share real estate, and that's the biggest problem. And that's what the benefit for you all being in this industry in real estate. That's your blessing. Problem number 5: the parents have passed away and the kids just don't know what to do, and it becomes a trust sale. What will happen is, so for those of you who have a trust, think about this for yourself. You have a trust, you're going to name a trustee, typically one of your most responsible children, you believe, or you can have a trust company do that. But many people just pick their family. Question is, who trains that child what to do when you're gone? Nobody does. They don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed. And that's why I started a class called I'm a Trustee Now What? Because in 1 week, I got 3 phone calls from 3 people asking me to sell their property, and they were a trustee and they didn't know what to do. And they told me, like, I need help. So that's what started my interest in learning how to help them and through the trust process. There's 21 things you need to know to be a trustee, and I teach that class. Problem number 6 is the parents passed away without a property being in the trust, and you're going to help them through probate. Right? If you understand probate, you can help them. Right? And really, the biggest solution is if you have a good partner, a probate attorney that can help you. That can make your life very easy. But also, you'll get referrals from them once you build this mutually beneficial business relationship. Right? Yeah. And part of our classes, we talk about teaching you how to do that, building those relationships. So transferring wealth and to create a legacy, this is a good example. This is a very old chart, as you can see. It's pretty ugly, but we built this a long time ago. Anyways, mom's a widow. And for ease of numbers, I'm going to use mom and dad owned an apartment building for $4 million. Dad passed away. Dad used to manage it. Dad used to take care of it. Mom didn't really do much. Now she's responsible for it. Now she doesn't want it anymore, right? So she goes to the CPA, and the CPA says, "Don't sell it. There's this thing called capital gain tax. They're going to take about a third of your money." And so she said, "Oh shucks, now I'm stuck." Then she comes to us, right, as a real estate planner. She said, "Dan, I don't want it for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't want to manage it anymore. It's just too much work for me mentally, worrying about the property taxes and making sure the income is paid for. I don't want to worry about that. But most importantly, I don't want my kids fighting. You see, my sister passed away and her kids are fighting, and it's a bloody mess over there. And I don't want that to be for my kids." Okay. And so what we do is we say, "Well, do you need the income to sustain the life you desire?" And she said, "Dan, I don't need that. I have more money than I can spend. I just don't want it anymore." I said, "Okay, if you could bless your kids, would you?" And she says, "Yes." I said, "What?" I said, "Okay, great." So what we do is we get another call with all the kids. Some are on islands, some are not. Most are by Zoom. And then we say, "Hey, I got good news for you. Mom has decided to sell her investment property and do a 1031 exchange and allow you to predetermine your inheritance." Predetermine. What that means is you can be on the committee for the replacement property selection, because mom has to buy a replacement property, and she'll earmark $1 million to each of you for that, and you can lead that committee for the replacement property. It will still stay in mom's name. Right? Mom will own it up to her interest in that $1 million. Right? So George buys one. He's really happy. He gets to live there. Lucy says, "Well, I need $2 million because in my market in the Bay Area, you can't buy $1 million home. I need $2 million." She takes the $1 million, uses it as a down payment. She gets a mortgage on another $1 million. She now co-owns it with mom. Okay? And now mom did a 1031 exchange. She never lives there. She cannot reside there for greater than 14 days. And as long as she does that, she's executed her 1031. Lucy bought a house without putting $1 million of her own money down as a down payment. We just changed Lucy's life, because Lucy would never have been able to do that without mom's help. We changed George's life. He no longer has to pay rent to a tenant that keeps landlord that keeps wanting to sell. It's changed all these problems. We've changed this family's life by unlocking wealth and repositioning it to whatever matters most to mom. Right? If mom wanted to bless them, those are one strategy we do. We sell one, we buy 4. When mom passes away, all these. What we do after she does a 1031 exchange is we go back to the attorney and we say, hey, mom has done this with this her wealth, therefore this property 123 Main Street will go to George, 345 will go to Lucy, and so forth upon her demise. And then all the capital gain tax goes away, right? You get a step up in cost basis, right? You have zero capital gain tax. This is creating a real estate plan that allows people to keep money in their pocket and not pay capital gain tax. And we've been doing these for years for families, and now we've built a model around it and we teach it regularly. The other problem 7 is, if a couple's going through a divorce and there's a number of steps through the process, you have to understand the process that'll make the client feel more comfortable. When you do that, you're going to get more divorce business, but also you're going to get referrals from divorce attorneys because they know that you know the process. Right? And Gary wrote this on a board one day in our meeting with about 300 of the top realtors in the country, and he goes, "Do you know what this is?" And everyone laughs like, "What is that, Gary? It's an ugly picture." And he says, "No, you see, that's the forest." He says, "You see the thing in the middle?" He says, "That's the big tree." He says, "You know why that big tree got so big? It got there first. And it took the sun and the water and the nutrients and from the soil, and it became the biggest tree." And he pointed his finger to all of us. He said, "You guys got to go find something that is going to help you be that big tree. Get there first. Get in front of the market, something that nobody sees." This demographic, ladies and gentlemen, is a demographic that really nobody is seeing in the world of real estate, this baby boomer generation. The seller's criteria, they have 3 of them. Number 1 is, do I like him? Yeah, many of you are likable. Do I trust you? Well, yeah, you seem trustworthy. Here's the biggest question is, do I believe you can help me? And that's what's going to separate you. When you have conversations around when somebody sells their home, you ask them the question, do you understand your capital gains tax liability in the event you sell? See, most realtors don't ask that question. Why? Because the industry doesn't teach us these things. Yeah. We teach these things because it matters. See, if you can care for your client's best interest before your own, you're going to attract business. One way to show them that is you ask them about what's going to matter to them. And you have to understand what matters to them. What matters to them is their money, not your money. Yeah. No, it's their money. Yeah. Well, what's going to take away their money? Taxes. Yeah, capital gain taxes. So you must master that. You have to understand cost basis, the 2 different types of cost basis, carryover and step up. That's foundational, right? And then you have to understand how to measure capital gain tax. And then if you really want to help them out and help them build wealth, you have to measure how to measure cash on cash returns, cap rates, right? Understanding the simple math, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I believe the real estate industry has missed the mark. And that's why today I'm saying the real estate planner has shown up and is now educating the community in the world things that will matter to our client, right? Which is who you should be caring about, right? So if you got your phone, you can click on this. This is our class that we're offering. And since you're here, I was going to say if you're here, yeah, you're here. If you're paying attention, maybe, then you can get 15% off on this code. It's $199 for 4 classes. The first one we focus on the real opportunity and how to find them. Right, I'm going to show you how to find them, and then you can learn how to become the senior relocation specialist. What's involved in understanding that, and it's really about understanding that person's world and understanding the family's life as they have to help their parents go through this process. And then you're going to learn 1031 exchanges and this thing called a DST, a Delaware Statutory Trust, which has helped us get a lot of listings, help people create passive income, which is what they're looking for. And also helps them make more money in my market. And then the last one we'll talk about wills, trust, and probate. How do you need to show up to a marketplace whereby you are known for helping people at this level, right? How do you do that? We have to start with foundational knowledge, right? And once you get to that, then you have to put it into work, right? Connect with people. And I'll leave you with the last tip is that when I started in real estate, I wanted to be the best realtor in the planet. I jokingly say in the planet because I know I'm not going to leave the planet, and that's all we're going to sell. But I put that massive dream out there because I wanted to reach big, and I said there's a lot I need to learn, and today I'm still actually telling myself the same thing. There's a lot I need to learn. You never stop learning. Um, but anyways, I realized that I needed to help people solve a problem, and this demographic is not going away. In fact, in the next 20 years, it's going to keep growing, and they're going to have the same challenges you and I are going to have. Should we be blessed to live long enough, you and I are going to all have those problems as well. Right? And so, the sooner I learn it, the sooner I can help others around me, and I can provide a solution for them that will lead them to me. Thank you so much. And I'm going to leave you with the last quote. Talent will hit a target no one can hit, but a genius will see a target no one is seeing. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you consider joining us in this journey of learning how to help this demographic, provide solutions for them. And with that, you're going to get a big business, a really big business. That is all I have. I am a few minutes over time. Uh, yeah. Oh, thanks, Percy. And any questions? Anybody have any questions? I can spend like 3 more minutes with you.
It looks like the Web 15 promo code is not working.
Okay, guys, can we help with that?
Let me
Graham.
get that update. I'll see if there's something wrong on the backside. To make sure it's all caps, WEB 15, but I'll ensure that the back end works. So just give me like a couple minutes. Try it again.
Thanks. Any ahas from today? Anything that you said, huh? Anything that you thought of today? No?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the 1031 exchange. So if somebody has a property and they're going to sell it to avoid capital gains, but it's not been a rental, is there any way to do a 1031 exchange?
When you say it's not a rental, what do you mean by that?
So it's
Have
a
they
person, they've been in their home and they want to sell it now, and they're going to have to pay like $200,000, let's say, in capital gains. They
Yeah.
want to avoid that. Is there a way to avoid it?
Yes, and it's going to take a plan. So there's two routes to go. If the property that tax record has more than one dwelling space, you could potentially do a mixed use. Right? Let's say you had a main house and an ADU, for example, or an upstairs and a downstairs that did not have its interior ingress and egress. Independent living spaces, you could potentially do a mixed use 1031 exchange. That's one way.
Okay.
The other is if the house cannot be divided and you do not have two dwelling spaces, which is common. The next alternative for you to eliminate capital gains taxes is you move out for 2 years, right? And then you sell it. See, if you move out for 2 years and you rent it, then you have proof that it was an investment property as well as a primary residence. Remember the law, Internal Revenue Code 121 states that if you lived in a property 2 out of the last 5 years, you can take advantage of the $250,000 exclusion or $500,000 married couple exclusion, right? You could do that. Everything beyond that amount of money, you're going to be taxed on. But if you moved out for 2 years, did you still have 2 of the last 3? The answer is yes. Right? So you get to take advantage of 2 tax codes. Internal Revenue Code 121 for your primary residence because you did live in it 2 out of the last 5. And also the 1031 exchange because you rented your home for 2 years and you proved to the government you had an investment property. Right? And then you would sell the property, buy another property through the 1031 exchange. And if you want to create a really strategic plan that we've been helping clients with is after they rented for 2 more years, right? Then they could move in. they can change their intent.
Okay, so you would have to rent your home, sell it, and then when you exchange it, you have to rent that next home for 2 more years.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're building a 5-year plan, basically.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So
Any other
we
last
have a
question?
we have
Yeah, go
another
ahead.
question in the chat from Alex.
Okay. I'm sorry. Where is that? I can't see it.
So Alex is asking how someone can convert a primary residence into an investment property.
How can you? By leaving it. Once you leave the home, you're no longer residing in it. Number one. And you can if you have two, let's say you had 2 houses on one lot, right? You could basically claim that you only resided in one of them, as long as you can prove that.
Last question from Zoo. She's asking, do you have to own 5 years to use one-to-one?
2 out of the last 5. That's a CPA question. I'm actually not 100% sure. I don't. Let's put it this way: how much gain are you going to have in 2 years? Right? Probably not a lot. But yeah, that's a good question. Let me find out. I'm not 100% sure. Percy, do you know? Do you have to own it for 5? Because let's say you own it for 3 years, right? Could you sell it and take your gain? Because you did live in it. Well, no, you didn't live in it in 5 years.
Danny, it doesn't matter. As long as you live in it for 2 years, you can still take the capital gains tax exemption. You can only take it every 2 years,
Okay,
but you don't have to live in it for 5.
great. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thanks for the clarity on that. I appreciate that. Yeah, what you'll learn from me is if I'm not 100% sure, I'm not going to tell you. Okay. Anyways, that's all I have. Thank you very much. This is only supposed to be 30 minutes. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. If you can sign up, otherwise, we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you soon. Aloha.